All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna be honest, if there would be no comment on my previous video about that one guy saying how do I even manage to be this much of a consistent, I guess, I don't know. At some point, you're just too deep into this game to quit, and you're like, F it. I mean, after 400 days, okay, not 400, yeah, 200, um, you are at that stage when you're like, okay, just, you know, 3 or 4 more months and we're gonna be done. Was 1 year, obviously. But, the more interesting thing about, yeah, I mean, I guess vlogging daily is easier when you have like some kind of ups and downs. The hardest thing about like vlogging daily is when you have nothing to share. Sometimes you just work all day and you don't like receive any rewards yet, and you're like, okay, so what do I talk about? And that kind of days I have to find something from my personal life or some kind of like um, small lesson or something like that, and talk about that for 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes sometimes. Yeah, I or either talk about family, because usually like 12 to 16 hours in one day, something is gonna happen. um okay, so I there were a lot of interesting things which happened, and I guess the biggest pivotal moment which happened actually 2 hours ago, I guess. I even, because of that chaos in my mind, I don't journal a lot, but as you can see, it's a text, and the reason why I wrote this text is because I wanted to put this chaos in my mind, from my mind, into paper. So, I even wrote the title here, which is kind of explains why I wasn't journaling for a while. I didn't knew where to begin and what to write, being exact how to write, and then I understood that you write to understand and figure things out. um, and then I just started writing down, like, I'm working on a day job, the current reality looks like, etc. So I'm working on a day job, I'm trying to get a coding job. I'm doing all of these things, which is like doing a resume, talking to people and networking, applying for coding jobs, building projects, and learning some new technologies, which is, yeah, and at the same time, trying to not totally stop working on my agency. It's, talking to guys, trying to do something. I'm trying to like um, do some kind of a content sometimes, to promote the agency. And I have been working on the agency's website just a couple of weeks ago. I would have been continue working on the agency's website if I wouldn't complete it. So I'm not I'm trying to not totally stop working on it, although I'm trying to kind of slow it down, or kind of like put it aside a little bit. And I guess me and my co-founder have this vision of like pivoting into software, like going from agency to software company, something like that, right? And the single issue is that you can't do it immediately. It's a Software is a very high, the value of a software company is 10x for a reason, because the entrance to this thing is incredible. Like, bro, I mean, shish, it is so hard them to learn even one programming language and create one software. And on top of that, if you want to hire someone, it's not gonna cost you cheap. So, yeah, enterprise value of a software company is 8, 10x for a freaking reason. If you want to build a company from scratch and want to lend investors, it's hell of a lot of problems, you know, as well. So you gotta talk to people, and people are not gonna trust you if you don't have previous experience, or even if you have previous experience, they like all of this fancy shit of like graduates from, Oxford, and like, computer science students, um, uh, yeah, like, but the problem is that, you can't enter to this game. It's a very enter to this game, uh, all of a sudden. Like, I tried, okay, and I tried using free domains, free servers, and I'm gonna be honest, as these things are kind of good enough for someone who is learning how to code to try and test and learn. But if you want to build something which is scalable enough, because sometimes it might happen that 3, 4, 5 users sign up all of a sudden all at once, and your free server is gonna get cooked, and you don't want this thing to happen, okay? um and yeah, why am I saying that? Because these free servers are usually like limited to a certain amount of uh, brand width, memory. They're gonna give you like 5 MB, 10 MB, and yeah, I mean, like, good amount of users can, if they're gonna use your software all of a sudden all at once, they can cook it out. Uh, yeah, getting back to what I was saying is basically we have to kind of get up a little, like, kind of like, you know, establish ourselves with this agency, make some money, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would be great if we can make $10,000, and then I guess we can think about building a software and like kind of like that. Obviously, it's not gonna be easier than just building a website for a client, but I kind of see the future in that. I don't know, maybe because I'm kind of getting into the software game so much, learning how to code and all this stuff, and I feel kind of good about it. Feel good. Yeah, I know there is a lot of things I don't know. There is a lot of critics I got. Today I failed one coding interview, and I had one interview with a senior engineer who criticized my knowledge of programming because it's really, really bad. I forgot all the basics, and I know only the things which I need in my projects, which is not enough in getting a coding job. Um, Coding itself by itself is like a good thing. Obviously, it's incredible that you can like create things out of like nowhere. Um, um, yeah, Steve Jobs said this in like 80s or 90s, I guess. You know, he said, um, I forgot. It was a YouTube short. I'm sorry. It was a YouTube short. He said there is X amount of Macintosh users, aka Mac users, in the world at the current date. And if you build a software, like for example, let's say your girlfriend is in real estate and she uses it, um, you know, papers and like, notepads to write the client whatever details and stuff like that. And if you build a software for real estate, and now her computer, which used to not be able to do this thing ever before, and now she, just has to pay, like, like, now her computer can do something it never could do before, right? So obviously let's say you're gonna sell it for $100, right? And 50% is gonna get the taxes and all this stuff. Like, you know, it's not your money basically. The other 50% is yours, but the 25% is like the cost of producing the software. Let's say, okay, so you got the maybe some employees or like maybe designers. You know, if you're a developer, you're gonna probably pay for a designer. And you got like $25 in profit, pure profit, pure profit. You can spend on everything you want. $25 is like everything, including like business expenses. You know, like you're starting from your Wi-Fi to everything. And she said that it's like if you sell the software to only 10% of the Macintosh users, only 10%, because probably like it's a niche product, it's a niche software, you can make $25 million in profit, which is equivalent of $5 million in revenue. The fucking good thing I guess I like, about software is that, you know, people say you can build it once and you can sell it forever. It's not true. You have to update the software constantly. You have to update the software constantly. Imagine if Photoshop would have been created in 2006 and never updated since then. It would have been really crap. But how much is this? There is truth to it, you know, because the updates you make on top of the old architecture you build, which is the biggest job, I guess, to do. I don't know, man. I mean, I kind of got fascinated by this idea, and I am like trying to get a coding job, and I am building apps like projects anyway, so it's kind of like, you know, feeling this vibe, I guess. I kind of, you know, getting into this mode. So we're gonna make some money, some starting budget money, to start creating our first ever software, and then we're gonna pivot to software, inshallah. I guess my hope is that by the middle of 2025, next year, we're gonna be able to do that. It's not that, like, you know, good, you know, I'm not being positive right now. I'm being realistic, okay? Not that realistic, I'm being even pessimistic to a certain degree. It's like, you know, max lengths, I guess. Yeah. I see it. Don't worry.